Don Tony gives you news and reviews from AEW.
Welcome to the party! Oh my God! Thanks for coming, Sammy!
NXT.
It's over! Cross is here to ransack NXT soul!
And indie wrestling. It's Wednesday night, Dynamite.
Know what's happening in the world of wrestling without the hate and clickbait. And now, your host, Don Tony.
So I get this email from Terrace Walker. Hey, DT, you want to plug CM Punk going sneaker shopping with Complex's Joe LaPuma? Shopping for some customized Chicago Jordan 10s? You want to plug it? No. What have you ever done for us? No, I think I just did. I think I just plugged it. Trying to get myself in a good mood. I know a lot of you know why. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Tomorrow's a more laid-back show. Tonight, it's all about AEW. It's all about NXT. It's all about women of wrestling. Women of wrestling, in case you are not aware of it. During tonight's AEW Dynamite, because there is a time difference in Las Vegas, Nevada, they were hyping up the return of women of wrestling. Now, this is not a cheap plug for Patreon. Dayak, he doesn't like the new belt that lacks creativity. Well, we will show that belt in a few moments. We'll show it in a few moments. He's talking about the TBS Women's Championship, which was announced tonight on Dynamite. But Dayak, just give me 2 minutes, because I think this is something a lot of you out there will welcome. Women of Wrestling is a promotion that doesn't get as much airtime as it should in the past. Yeah, David McLean with some of the corny shit in 2021. You know, this is what I say about it. If you can tolerate the dopey comedic shit that happens more than you realize on AEW with the real over-choreographed stuff, then you should have no problem with the disciplinarian in Women of Wrestling. There's always, there's a niche for everything. And we'll talk about niches and that opening match tonight, that tag match on AEW, because I have a few things to say about that. But, by the way, happy anniversary, Chris L. He's glad Serena won. The new belt is ugly. You hope Pac is okay. Okay. We'll talk about that in a minute. You don't want me to talk about the women of wrestling stuff. Wow. You know, maybe I could entice you a little bit. Tessa Blanchard, their big land or score signing, returning. Tessa Blanchard involved. You know, I made this comparison last night on Patreon, and the more I thought about it today and seeing some of your feedback, a lot of people agree also. I think Tessa Blanchard to Women of Wrestling might be similar to what Nick Aldis was to NWA, and still is, to be honest with you. But, while AEW was going on tonight, this announcement came in. Yep. AJ Mendez, AJ Brooks, AJ Lee, whatever you want to call her, AJ. There you go. I've been showing this card, you know, for the last couple of weeks because we were hearing rumors that AJ was going to return to wrestling. She is part of Women's of Wrestling. She will be an executive producer. Sorry, I don't have a more formal picture. That's what came in tonight. My DMs were kind of blowing up tonight for various reasons. But she will be an executive producer for Women of Wrestling, and she'll also do a little bit of commentating. Will she return to the ring? You know, you remember that audio clip that I played of CM Punk on the local radio here a couple of weeks ago? You know, his comments were quite different to what he was telling a lot of other shows that, no, AJ, the neck, nope, it's not happening, get it out of your brain. Go back to that episode. Just search on my channel, type in CM Punk audio. I got permission to play that clip. Surprised it didn't get more attention. But pretty cool, man. Seriously. I've been saying for a few months now that the second half of 2021 is going to be epic for the world of pro wrestling and wrestling fans. COVID has hurt people, companies, pro wrestling, every single one of us in so many ways. And it's not just trying to recoup financially, but, let's be honest. And I'm not trying to play political stuff here. You know me, I don't go political anymore unless people really force me to talk about it or super chat. Let's be honest. You look at a lot of sports and there's a lot of political stuff thrown into it. You look at other forms of entertainment and they always got like a little bit of an agenda or this and that. Pro wrestling, for the most part, stays out of that. Sure, you might have characters to reflect society, but it really stays out of the political game. It really does not try to put people in favor of one organization or another. Now, wrestlers may have their own personal views, and that's up to you if you want to follow their social media and their personal views in the world. But pro wrestling is a form of entertainment that is truly an escape. It truly is. And after going through 19, 20 months of COVID, and it's going to be around for a few years, hopefully this pandemic will now be called an endemic by January. I truly believe that here in the United States. And if you've been following me since the pandemic started, we've been pretty much spot on with everything. Not because we're geniuses, because we research and we read and we pay attention. The world is not just about AEW, Roman Reigns, and blah, 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 blah. And now all of a sudden, oh my God, put the belt on him already. Put the belt on him already. Tony D'Angelo said it perfectly. Everybody's a gangster until a gangster walks in the room. I thought it was so cute yesterday watching so many Italians that, have been dissing NXT, that were ripping on the Tony D'Angelo character 2 weeks ago. And yesterday he debuts. Great music, great look, wrestling in like velour, getting a good crowd reaction, looking great in the ring. And now everybody is, taking their most generic Italian picture they could find and posting it. Tony D'Angelo suddenly everybody's Goomba. I know everybody. I'm going to say it. Don Tony has been Don Tony D'Angelo since the 90s. Ain't nothing different. Him bribing the referee. I'm not trying to compare me, but you remember my crappy stuff at VPW, me taking out money trying to bribe the referee. Hell, this past Thursday, last Thursday, I played Wrestle Crap, where I was managing this black guy, the new Dynamite Kid. And that's the only reason why I say black guy, because I say new Dynamite Kid, it reminds you of the black Nature Boy, Scoot Andrews. You hear Nature Boy, like, okay, you don't picture Scoot Andrews to be a Nature Boy. He was the new Dynamite Kid. During that match, at the very end, I took money, gave it to the referee, and put it in his pocket. Go back and watch. That was last Thursday. Did I know? No, because Tony D'Angelo is just doing stereotypes. This is more, because people are saying to me, oh, he'd be perfect for Goodfellas. No, Tony D'Angelo is more of a Sopranos guy. It's more Sopranos than Goodfellas. And believe me when I tell you, from my neck of the woods, the look is a little bit different. Yes, I used to wear the wife beater. We were putting some flashback photos yesterday. Yeah, but a lot of people want my thought. Wow. Big shout out to everybody who's here live tonight. Did everybody find out that I got prostate cancer? Holy shit. I mean, is this what it takes? Negative news? Look, I don't want to get into that today. I just want to thank everybody for the kind words, publicly and privately. For those that don't know, went to the doctor today, expecting to get some blood work results, hoping I could get off my blood pressure medicine. Hopefully I could get off my cholesterol medicine. And now I got to, look into getting a radiation seed planted inside me. where I can't be around kids for a little bit of time. I'll be okay. Be okay. It's not life-threatening. My father had it. My uncle had it. My grandfather had it. Today, my doctor said to me, if you want to go for a second opinion, go for one. But it runs in your family. Get it done now. This way, when I get married next year, I don't have to worry about it. This way, my father got it over 20 years ago and never came back. So I'll be honest with you. I was taking off today. I was not going to do this show tonight. But because you all wanted a show and review some of NXT and AEW, this is an escape for yours truly as well. So believe me when I tell you, if you are loving the debut of Tony D'Angelo, if you are loving Braun Breaker, if you are happy AJ is back in wrestling, if you love that CM Punk is back in wrestling, Bryan Danielson is there. You know what's freaking awesome? And we'll get back to Tony D'Angelo a little bit later. But you know what's freaking awesome? And I got to show this. I don't know who to credit. I don't know who to credit for this photo tonight. Now, if you're watching this on your TV, and for those that are audio only, it's just a picture of the crowd tonight in Philly for AEW Dynamite. Now, we didn't see the entrances of the 8 men that were in the tag match tonight. Actually, that was put on YouTube 10 minutes before Dynamite started. If anybody wanted to watch the entrances, they put on YouTube. Nice little gesture by AEW. But if you really look at this picture closely, I mean, it really put a smile on my face. Not because it's a sold-out crowd, but Adam Cole was coming out. Yes, Adam Cole has a history in Ring of Honor. Adam Cole has a history in the Northeast. But Adam Cole, I've been saying for a couple of years now, the MVP for NXT, period. For 3 years in a row, the MVP. Not even close. And people are making fun of his arms, making fun of his physique, making fun of this, criticizing that. Oh, Mandy Rose is the center point of NXT. Oh, let's make fun of Adam Cole, even though NXT is developmental and AEW is not. And I looked at this and I said, you know what? For every stand-up comedian that thought it was funny to poke fun at Adam Cole's arms, there's about 10,000 arms up in the air cheering for Adam Cole tonight. And I thought that was such a cool picture to share with all of you. Now, the funny thing about it is, when I wrote that way, over 10,000 arms, I expected at least one or two idiots to write what I expected. And sure enough, hook, line, and sinker. Oh, DT, how do you know they had 10,000 fans tonight for AEW? That building doesn't hold 10,000 fans. I said 10,000 arms, dummies. Everybody has 2 arms. So enjoy the second half of 2021. It's been phenomenal the last 2 months. The draft for WWE sucked. Overall, it sucked. I had 2 days to really think about Monday's Raw. And yes, the draft overall sucked. But if there's any one consolation to come out of it, we got some fresh matchups and some old matchups that we didn't get enough of back in the day. Hell, I mean, you just look at some of these rosters, and I was thinking about it yesterday, and we'll talk more about WWE tomorrow and on Saturday. But if Paul Heyman has any creative involvement still on SmackDown, oh my God, can you imagine him managing Ridge Holland or Shayna Baszler? You imagine if they branch him out, if he breaks away from the bloodline down the line? Oh, this might be better than we think. The draft sucked, but I think what comes out of it might be pretty awesome. Seriously. So anyway, let's talk about AEW. Let's talk about NXT. And, we'll get more information. Brad Zahar, thank you for subscribing, my friend. Thank you, Brad. Much love. By the way, thank you all for hanging out tonight. Dynamite, a really, really fun show. Although, and I know Bully Ray has already triggered a lot of people online that he has a lot to say about the opening 10-man tag tonight. Before I even talk about that match, or 8-man tag, excuse me, before I talk about that match, the casino ladder match, the winner gets a title shot. Now, I've been talking about this for the last 7 days, and there's no secret. My sentimental pick was Homicide, because I want to see Homicide have at least one match in AEW, an important match. But the one person that kept coming up, we talked about it Monday, we talked about it last Saturday, we talked about it last Wednesday, was Hangman Page. And the one thing that Tony Khan, and you got to give this guy credit for this, you know, a lot of people still are pissed off that so early in AEW's tenure that Cody does a stipulation where he can't ever wrestle for the championship. The way everybody feels about Cody right now, it's a beautiful thing. But I always said that that was an emergency, you know, that's an emergency storyline. When they really need to pull a big-time storyline out of the hat, and Cody is over with the fans, all they got to do is start teasing, you know, Cody, title shot, but no, I can't have it. I mean, this, you know, I lost. That's it. It's final. Never touch. And get the fans chant, give Cody a shot, give him the shot, give him the shot. And then one day, Cody or Tony Khan will say, do you all really want it? Is this what you want? And then they're going to give it. And you'll have a couple of jerk-offs say, oh, you see, AEW doesn't adhere to storylines. But it's going to feel like the fans were the ones to change the course of AEW's future history. Chris L got the T-shirts today. Cool, man. Everybody that won shirts, you know, let me just remind everyone that Pro Wrestling Tees, for some reason, had this huge month-long delay with their shirts. And they're only human. So, you know, I'm not ragging on them. But, you know, when you do contests and people are like, hey, man, I won this contest 3 weeks ago. I never got my shirt. I'm like, okay, let me look into it. Hey, you got an update? I'm like, I'm not their customer service, but it seems like everybody's got their shirts, or just about. So, but, you know, it's wrestling and sports entertainment. Ring of Honor, MLW, AEW, WWE, WOW, GCW, Shimmer, New Japan, All Japan, everything Japan. It's all sports entertainment. Unless you have a promotion where the outcomes are not predetermined, every single wrestling company is sports entertainment. Everything is a little bit different. Back in the day, ECW felt more real. Ring of Honor was not sports entertainment. Ring of Honor was real wrestling, you know, until, you know, they couldn't resist and had to do crazy fucking street fights and brawls and storylines, which I'm not complaining about. So there is nothing in the rule book that says, or that AEW cannot, you know, change storylines. I mean, Hangman Page lost a match. They couldn't challenge Kenny Omega for the championship, period. He lost the match with the Dark Order. If they lose, Dark Order does not get a tag title shot. Kenny Omega does not get a heavyweight title shot, period. That's it. So now you do the casino ladder match. Oh, but wait. How could he get the title shot? I thought that you don't have to think too hard about it. Everybody wants to see Hangman Page. Look, the big fear, and we talked about it many times in the past, the big fear was with CM Punk now in, Adam Cole now in, Bryan Danielson now in, and others rumored to be coming in. Like, you can't forget about Hangman Page. You can't forget about some of your core guys. And doing this by having Hangman Page as the Joker in this ladder match, winning the ladder match, is bigger than you think, especially if he wins the championship. Now, down the line, could we see Hangman Page versus Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega? Yeah, I could see it ending up being a three-way. Sure, absolutely. In fact, I don't think anybody would complain about that either. But the fact that they put Hangman Page in this and he won, is a phenomenal thing because that sends a message to AEW fans that, we're not going to just be so enamored with, former WWE guys or disgruntled former WWE guys that haven't been in the business for a while, that we're going to just open the red carpet for them and give them all the pushes and all the titles and all of this. And everybody who has been busting their ass for 2+ years, you're just going to have to wait a little bit longer. You wait too long and those wrestlers will be out of your company. So I love that Hangman Page was not only put in this match tonight, but actually won. And sure, you expect next week Kenny Omega. No. He lost. He doesn't get it. Blah, 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 blah. And you'll get the louder Kenny No Balls chants because Kenny values his balls and values his legacy and storyline as well. Hangman Page will get a title shot. So kudos. I love it. Now, I'm putting up my thumbnail for tonight's show. It's not completely done yet. It's not easy to keep editing this stuff in real time as Dynamite is going down. But if you look at the lower left-hand corner, that is a close-up of the newly announced TBS Championship, Women's Championship. It will debut in January. It'll be a tournament. I'm assuming the tournament may start before January, but AEW is going to TBS in January, and they will crown the first ever TBS Women's Champion. Now, I'll be totally honest with you. I don't have them side by side right now, but I'm not trying to be sexual about this. Please hear me out. You won't get upset. I promise nobody will get upset. But for everybody in the chat room, when you have a heterosexual couple that are pregnant, well, woman is pregnant, and they announce the sex of their kid, a lot of them will blow up a balloon. They'll, whatever they do, they're very, very creative. And what are the two colors that always get revealed when it's a boy or if it's a girl? Chat room, first person that answers it gets a shout out from yours truly. I mean, what's the colors that are announced when it's a boy or when it's a girl? What are the colors? There's like a 5-second delay, so that's why nobody has answered yet. It'll come in 3, 2, 1. I'm sure some of you out there have had children. Okay, James Campbell, Xander Elliott, Benjamin, Gabriella, Genesis, they're all coming in. Joshua Young, Kevin Milwaukee. Okay, stop. Gordon, Sam, stop. Pink and blue, or red and blue. All right? Pink, the red girl, blue boy. I'm not saying that, the TNT Championship was made red because it's men. But, when you look at the titles next to each other, I think making it blue and not Divas pink, butterfly pink, or butterfly purple, I think this color is fine. This title is not much different in design as the TNT title. And a lot of you out there have said in the past that the TNT title actually doesn't look too bad. So honestly, look at those titles side by side. There's really not a tremendous difference between the two. I absolutely love that this title has been announced. We've talked about it before. You look at Thunder Rosa and you look at some of the other talent, even Hikaru Shida. Let's look at the annals of wrestling history. You have a couple of favorites that you insist you want to focus your championship around, but there's a whole bunch of other talents that can't break through. So what happens? You create a secondary title. How many remember my old Breakfast with Blassie episodes? TNA, what are you doing? Make a secondary title. What are you waiting for? And then they finally did. The secondary championship, you're not going to take it off of Britt Baker right now. Ruby Soho ain't breaking through right at this very moment. So if you have a second championship. So what? The TBS Women's Championship feels a step lower than the overall Women's Championship. So what? So what? A lot of people out there, want to see, deserving talents that have momentum win championships. That is one of the problems with AEW. And they have the TNT Championship, and they still haven't rectified the problem. And you know what I'm talking about. You look, of course, GMTA, the logo is because TBS is blue as well. But, you look at all the other championships, you want to base it on more of the gender. I mean, you didn't have men's titles with Divas pink or purple. You had a little bit of, gems here and there, but for the most part, you want to make it look a little bit like a feminine championship, which is fine. So to be honest with you, the talents like Thunder Rosa and others, and I'm not trying to single her out, but what has been the big problem with AEW on the heavyweight championship side? You remember all those weeks that Pac was the number one contender and he didn't get a championship shot? Don't give me the three-way dance with Orange Cassidy, because Pac was not the number one contender at that time. He was the number one contender forever, and then he lost the match, and boom, he was done. You remember when I showed you that top 5 list? And I even said it maybe 2 weeks ago. Harris, I'll answer your question in a second, my friend. But I said it 2 weeks ago when I showed you the top 5 contenders for Kenny Omega's championship, and I said nobody in that top 5 is going to get a championship title match within the next month or so. Not even close. And by then, you will have wrestlers losing matches, and they will go off that list. And look, you got Hangman Page that was not on that list getting a title shot, deservingly so. Bryan Danielson was not on that list, got a title shot, deservingly so. Look at Ruby Soho. She wins the Casino Battle Royale, and she wasn't on that top 5 list. Now she's off that top 5 list. I hate to say it like this, but, well, I'm not going to say it like that, but, they got their, newness, that energy from Ruby Soho signing. They got that out of the way. Now, Ruby, where is she? You know what I mean? She's kind of like in a purgatory. So the secondary championship is excellent, because then you could have a lot of women who have no shot of breaking through right now with Britt Baker could now fight for that championship. I like it. Definitely needed. So I want to answer Harris B, because this was something he wanted to ask me Monday. It's off topic, but do I have hotline shows from 02 when the original brand split was announced and the show after the first draft? I don't know. You see, the thing is, I do have 2002. I have some. The thing is that at that time I was working for XPW. Then I started working a little bit on indie circuit and doing so much, driving back and forth and doing so many other things. It really, I had to make a decision at that time. And the hotline, although extremely popular, uploading them on the internet was not something that anybody had thought about. So I kept a bunch of episodes, but not all. But I'll check it out. I'll definitely look into that for you. So I have a bunch of hotline reports that I could put up. It's just we're all talking through telephones and audio is horrendous. But yeah, I'll check it out. Absolutely. So that TBS championship, totally fine with it. Love it. And again, as far as, the TBS, the logo being blue, they didn't even put the blue around the TBS. They put it around champion. And honestly, I like it. Red for the men, blue for the women. And that's not a sexist remark. My logo, I just noticed that. My logo is blue. Anyway, quick plug. Tomorrow night for Q&A, I think we are going to do this. I might. Now, apparently there's a technological way that I could take my cell phone, connect video, and have it magically transmit into this computer wirelessly. If that's the case, during the show tomorrow, I am going to get up off my ass, walk to my kitchen, and film it so you could all see it. If it seems too difficult, because obviously I want to get to sleep at a decent hour tonight, if it seems too difficult, then tomorrow I'm going to bring home from my office my little Sharp microwave, the cube that came out like 20 years ago. I have one of them. I'm going to bring it home. I'm going to plant it right behind me, plug it in, and tomorrow we are going to pop 2003 WWE popcorn. This is from 2003. Actually, 2003. See the back? Copyright 2003 World Wrestling Entertainment. Yes, they even had their hologram back then. A lot of people don't know that. WWE had that hologram for almost 20 years. So, yeah, we're going to pop open some 2003 WWE popcorn and see if it's still good. These are commemorative. They're made out of plastic, so these are popcorn cases. So we'll see if 18 or 19-year-old popcorn is still good. That's tomorrow. Little cheap plug. I never got sick last week with the gum, that Undertaker stuff. We got a whole bunch of things. Oh, my God, the shit that's coming in, it's pretty wild, man. Yeah, so tomorrow, I'm not going to get sick. The day I get sick is the day I'll stop this. You know, we've had 20-something-year-old gum. The Buff Bagwell hot sauce came in. You know, I got some other things going on. I didn't get a chance yesterday to take the pictures with the Hogan camera, but we'll do that probably this weekend. So, yeah. Oh, man. All right. So let's get back to AEW Dynamite tonight, and let's run through this. We don't have to spend crazy amounts of time on the show. All right. My honest opinion. There is, okay. Do you remember Joey Ryan with the dick flip? Sorry for cursing. Joey Ryan with the dick flip. I mean, think about how ridiculous it is that he's standing there like this with his hands to show everyone that it's the power of the penis. And I'll never forget Mick Foley in the ring with Sacco. And he grabs a little bit of Joey Ryan's nuts. And Joey Ryan goes, "Eesh," and Mick Foley, like, takes a bump. You had people grabbing Joey Ryan's, and then they'd be like, and to me, it was some of the dumbest shit that I've ever seen in wrestling. Mick Foley defended it. Now, this has nothing to do with Joey Ryan. The antics of Joey Ryan, a lot of people didn't know about. But let me make my point. When Mick Foley defended it, Mick Foley brought up a point which is hard to argue with. You look at that crowd, and a majority of them were laughing their asses off. They were having fun. You look at Kenny Omega in Japan, wrestling children, wearing women's clothing. You have one, I saw something the other day where Bryan Danielson starts doing thumb wrestling during a match and this and that, and people are laughing, popping, cheering. So my point is, I may think it's stupid, but there is a niche audience that enjoys that has a great time. And there is no rule book that wrestling cannot be. Now, look, I admitted it publicly last week. Yeah, I am now a Jim Cornette, Brian Last fan. Took me a very long time. But even though I don't agree with a lot of their comments, but I have to admit now I enjoy their work, and I listen to it pretty much every week now. But just because Jim Cornette is old school doesn't mean that everything must be, old school and none of this stuff is acceptable. That I disagree with. There is a niche for everything. And let's also be honest. If you have some of your all-time favorites, sentimental favorites, people that are your favorites of today, you got an opportunity to see them live. And they may not put out their best work, because you're such a fan, because you're there live, you kind of let it go. You have fun anyway. The opening 8-man tag match tonight was an absolute train wreck. It was a clusterfuck. It was a car accident. And yes, there is a niche for car accidents. There's a niche for watching wrecks. There's a lot of people out there. I mean, I admitted it in the past. I used to come home for lunch, put on the news to see what's going on. And there's like a helicopter following a car chase. And then everybody would write online, hey, car chase, TV. And what do most people want to see at the end? They want to see it end with a car crash. They want to see the car flipped over. They want to see some schmuck try to like run into the woods, ends up in Alligator Alley, gets eaten by the alligators, or gets, I mean, everybody wants, this that is into that want to see a wreck. I don't care how goddamn talented Bryan Danielson is, Christian, Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, Adam Cole, Bebe, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega. When you botch and botch and botch and are more into the choreograph and you screw up repeatedly, that's embarrassing. When people say to me to this day, oh my God, WWE, they passed up on Wheeler, Utah. And I watch a little bit of Wheeler, Utah up close, and I say to myself, if that guy did some of the shit that we see in AEW, where you're just doing flips and flips and flips, and even if you just clip somebody with your pinky, because the flip looked beautiful, that was fucking awesome. Believe me when I tell you, if all of those wrestlers were young and hungry, and that match you saw today was a tryout for WWE, almost all of them would have been told, okay, we'll get back to you. And they probably wouldn't be called. Because the Young Bucks have to do, and look, let me make this clear, everybody screws up. It is not perfect all the time. And that is forgivable. I'm not saying that any of these guys stink. They are all performing at their elite level. The problem is when you focus more on scripted spots and acrobatic stuff and this and that, sometimes there is a word called improvise. And if something seems like it's, you got to throw an audible once in a while. And I think the biggest problem with AEW, and I've said the referees are the biggest problem, but the biggest problem amongst the talent, and Jim Cornette says this a lot, these wrestlers, once they get in their mind that they're going to do something, even if it doesn't feel or something is a little off, they fucking do it anyway. That's why Rey Fenix came this close. Remember when he did that flip and the distance between the ring apron and the guardrail was like this? That Hornswoggle couldn't even fit across it. And he does the flip and almost breaks his neck in half. He got injured. So what happens? Why do people criticize Nia Jax so much? Because a couple of years ago, especially when she was in the ring with Kairi Sane, there was a move that she wanted to do. And obviously Kairi Sane was not completely set up yet. And it looked to us, just observation, it looked like Nia Jax like, fuck it, I'm doing it anyway. And injuries happen. So what happens? They want to do the indie taker. And they want to do it outside the ring. And they want to do it where it ends with an injury storyline. So, because the indie taker, Christian, outside the ring, that takes out Christian for the match. That's it. He's out. So what happens? They set him up for the indie taker. I thought it was a shoulder breaker. I thought it was a fucking shoulder breaker. Not only did one member of the Young Buck, I think it was Nick Jackson that jumped out of the ring, he totally missed Christian. He just like tapped his ass, like, hey, nice ass. And then the other one looks like he hit him with a shoulder breaker. His neck, his head, the visual, never. And the best part about it is, go on Twitter right now. The best part about it, I'm telling you, the best part about it is this. I don't like botches. I'm not one of these that celebrates botches, that laughs, that poses this and that. No, I don't get into that. That doesn't get me off. Naked chicks get me off. Not AEW botching. But AEW on their Twitter retweeted the spot. I'm not criticizing AEW for doing that. I give you permission. Just listen to the audio of this right now. While I'm talking, go on Twitter. Look up All Elite Wrestling's Twitter account and look at the post that they put up tonight replaying that move. And they actually say, like, Christian was hurt really bad. Hopefully Christian's okay. And when you look at the comments, you will see, and I'm not exaggerating, about 95% of the AEW fringe element. That's my new term. We don't use whack jobs anymore. We use fringe element. There's a fringe element in the Republican Party. There's a fringe element in the Democratic Party. There's a fringe element in it for AEW fans. It's not the overall majority of fans. It's a fringe element. 95% of that fringe element is begging AEW right now, please delete this tweet. It is hilarious and yet pathetic. People make mistakes. They want to delete it because they get angry when WWE kind of like tweaks the audience reaction, stuff like that to push a certain narrative. But no, we don't want anybody to see that botch. We can't, we have to just leave, everybody out there looking for jobs and hand jobs and other types of jobs. Everything is epic, amazing, unbelievable. That match was off the charts. Meltzer better rated 6 out of 5. That's what they want to leave it like that. You can't see that. AEW, you got to delete. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Own up to it. People make mistakes. But that was horrible. And it didn't end there. There was another point during the match later on where Kenny Omega tried to pick up Luchasaurus, I guess for a powerbomb maybe. And Kenny Omega had his other 3 members in the ring, Adam Cole and the Young Bucks. And 4 guys couldn't even pick this guy up. Kenny Omega fell flat on his ass. And the crowd kind of hazed him a little bit, more because the heels, obviously. But you look at this match up close. I mean, Marco Stunt, I'm not a fan of his, but thank God he's okay. You look at him. I mean, you look at some of the stuff up close, and you look at even when Jungle Boy was doing a little offense on both members of the Young Bucks. When Jungle Boy is flipping off the top rope and setting up on the middle rope and fixing his hair and going backwards and doing this and that, just pay attention on one Young Buck. Just one. And just watch what he's doing. Jungle Boy's got his arm, and he's like this. If I was a $1 billion company watching somebody doing this, it's like Aubrey Edwards, the wrestler version. That person wouldn't get hired by me. Or I would tell that person, knock that shit out. Spontaneous. Anybody could look like $1 million if you get 5 extra seconds to do something. But again, when your favorites are performing, and I am guilty of this as well. I have watched friends of mine perform, and we went out after and like, man, what a fun night. What a great night. And then I go home and I would rewatch the match, or, when the tape would come out, and I would be like, fuck was I looking at? This is horrible. I mean, it's when we have a certain admiration and appreciation, we have our favorites. You kind of look at it as rose-colored glasses. And let's be honest, that opening match tonight was a train wreck. Even at the very end, when Jungle Boy, takes, 4 guys hitting him with the BTE trigger, 4 guys in the ring. You even heard Jim Ross is like, all 4 guys in the ring. How does that happen? Yeah, how does that happen? It's a fucking tag match because the referee, like he's having seizures. That is a niche. The big question is, Is the niche 2 million, 3 million, 700,000? What is the niche? So you keep doing that, you keep doing that, you keep doing that. You know, let's be honest. When Bryan Danielson first came into WWE, long time ago, he was very good, but not on the level of what he could do now. And believe me when I tell you, when a lot of wrestlers are in WWE for that long, sure, they get domesticated. Sure, they can't do a lot of moves that they would do outside of it because WWE's trying to extend their career, not have them break their back within a couple of years. But they emphasize preciseness. You see timing. Now, those that don't have the greatest timing, Dana Brooke, and others, they may get opportunity, but they never break through. When you look at the elite of the elite, now there's exceptions. AJ Styles was already at the top of his game when he came in. Finn Balor and others, but wrestlers that came in that were still indie darlings, they became ring generals. It wasn't about spot. It's about telling a story, telling a match, getting the fans emotionally involved. You don't have to get emotionally involved with people if they just do crazy flips and crazy this and crazy that and crazy this. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, holy shit, oh my God, holy shit. Then at the end of the night, you're like, wow, I had a lot of fun. So there is a niche for that. So I'm not ripping on the match itself. The match was fun, but it told no story. It was an absolute clusterfuck, and it was all about specific moments. You know, Adam Cole, to me, was the star of that match. Everybody is doing flips. Please, I beg you. When Adam Cole teased to doing the flip off the rope, and if you notice, I'm not looking at notes. I'm just telling you what I saw. You look at Adam Cole. When he teased that he was going to jump over the top rope and land on those guys, but he stopped halfway to, and he went, baby, and he didn't do nothing. I beg you, right before he did that, go look at the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks literally pulled each other up and positioned themselves to get dropped on by Adam Cole. I'll go one step further. When Jungle Boy got hit with the Panama Sunrise, and I forget what other move, where I think Jim Ross said his neck is broken. When Adam Cole went to pin Jungle Boy, Bryan Danielson broke up the pin. Go watch how Bryan Danielson broke up the pin. Matt Jackson took Bryan Danielson and pushed him into the pin attempt. I noticed those things. And if I just want to see Spot Fest, I'll enjoy it. But there's no escaping. This was a fucking train wreck. With 8 very talented wrestlers who can main event a pay-per-view at any time. But the problem is, do you want your niche? Look at Friday's Rampage match. What did I say on Saturday? That match with Daniel Bryan and Nick Jackson was fucking awesome because Daniel Bryan was the obvious ring general in that match, and they forced Nick Jackson to stay away from this unnecessary spot shit. And the match was completely different. I think even Jim Cornette, and I'm not going to start referencing Jim Cornette every minute, I promise you that. But he even said his favorite match from a Hardly Boy ever, because it actually told the story in the ring and it was wrestling. And yes, it had its high spots too. But that's why, you know, you see when you get people who are professional, whether you like the employers that they had or not, when you have professionals, you know, insisting on being precise and elite and not just incredible spot. There's a lot more than that. What ends up happening is when you don't have to jump off of Empire State Building, go through 9 tables upside down, you know, when you don't have to do that and maybe only have to jump off the top rope, and you add a whole bunch of psychology in the match, well, guess what? You have the fans eating in the palm of your hand, and you don't have to ice down even your eyeballs when the match is over. That's how you prolong your career. Less is more sometimes. And when everything looks like a car accident, nothing looks like a car accident. You know, when you see wrestlers, how do you top that? How do you top that? You know, sure, yeah. How do you top that? How do you top that? So, the Super Elite beat Bryan Danielson, Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, and Christian Cage. Jon Moxley cuts a promo. No man in AEW can take him. He's been in many ladder matches. He's ready to get weird. He's got a 3-month-old at home, and she's insane. Philly is his city. AEW is his company, and that is his title. Just to hype up the match later on. CM Punk comes out, and let me make this clear. Tonight, they taped the matches for Friday's Rampage. So when CM Punk was talking to the fans and saying, do you want me to wrestle tonight? Or do you want me to buy you cheesecake? No. It sounded like he wasn't sure. Like, what is Philly known for? Cheesesteaks or cheesecakes? I think it was just a flub, you know, to be honest with you. I didn't think it was a big deal. But CM Punk told the fans, what would you rather have? Everybody gets cheesesteaks from me? Or do you want to see me wrestle tonight? And everybody wants to see him wrestle. Thing is that he is wrestling tonight, but for Rampage, it's taped for Rampage, not for Dynamite. So on Friday, we will get CM Punk versus Daniel Garcia. So much for, you know, the continuation with the Taz feud. You would think that maybe CM Punk and Ricky Starks go at it, especially after what happened last week, but he gets Daniel Garcia. And I'll say this. I have to put the air conditioner on. I mentioned this on Twitter today, and it's definitely worth me saying here. Daniel Garcia, about a month ago, I cracked a couple of jokes that him with the sweatsuit on AEW Dynamite, he looked like my 12-year-old nephew. Daniel Garcia is very small. When you wear a sweatsuit, he looks like a junior high student. Since then, a few of you out there who have watched him wrestle have sent me a couple of matches outside, sent me a story about a car accident he had, and a few other things. And I got to be totally honest with you. The more I look at Daniel Garcia's resume, some of the matches he's had, and some of the backstory behind him, the more I'm becoming a fan. The guy is legit. Is he championship material right now? No. But when you ask yourself, wow, why is Garcia like, he's got this person, why is he getting these matches? I think some of the wrestlers in AEW request to have a match with Daniel Garcia. So if you haven't paid attention to Daniel Garcia, I'm not telling you to, you know, stop what you're doing and look at this shit, but you might want to take notice because, you know, there's a lot that I did not know about the guy, and I don't take back stuff I said. You know, I make mistakes, but I'm a fan. So the match with him and CM Punk Friday, I think is going to be a lot better than people think. I don't know how long AEW would let CM Punk go with Daniel Garcia, but if they have a 7-8 minute match, I think it's going to be a lot better than people think. Arn Anderson, I mean, look, they're trying to play up with Arn Anderson trying to, you know, set Cody straight. You know, Cody, you threw us away. Blah, 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 blah. Look, just because Arn Anderson talks about carjacking doesn't suddenly make a 60-some-odd-year-old guy cool. Oh, my God, you know, of course he didn't mean it. You know, it's pretty interesting to cut a promo like that, you know, like, and people just going batshit over it. I have no problem with Arn Anderson, but Cody in all of this, I don't know what the hell they're doing with Cody, because Cody has said repeatedly, I'll never turn heel. I'll quit wrestling before I turn heel. Sir, you already are a heel. you are so out of touch, and your network is so out of touch with everything going on in this world with COVID and unrest and all this other stuff. You could cut a promo that everybody should be black, white, this. We all got to heal and get together. I mean, I'm not trying to talk about his charitable contributions, and I'm not saying that he's a bad guy, but when your nails are beautifully glossy and everything is a suit and not coming out like just with a t-shirt on and some shorts, I mean, it's like fucking 11 o'clock at night. I mean, honey, it's time to go to bed. Oh, no, I just want to watch the 11 o'clock news. Oh, I think somebody is outside. And you go outside, you're wearing a fucking suit and a vest and a beautiful tie and this and that. It's stupid. It's hokey. And I hope to God that they're playing on this and Cody is going to end up being a heel on TV. He is already a heel, but an acknowledged heel. Like, they're embracing it. We don't know if Cody's going to embrace it. People are starting to catch on now saying Cody should embrace being a heel. Yeah, they should. Because if Cody, this is what people don't understand. A lot of people don't like Cody right now because of his lifestyle, because you're flaunting your hard work. Your hard work, no question. Guy works his ass off. Brandy works her ass off. I am not criticizing. They deserve everything that they have earned. I swear to God, I mean that sincerely. You don't flaunt it in people's faces. You don't, there's got to be a certain limitation to it. And look at the opening video tonight for AEW Dynamite. Brandy, I think, was the third person shown on the screen. I mean, I don't give a fuck if you're an executive producer, a senior producer, an assistant producer, whatever you are behind the scenes. All right. She is like the third character in the graphic. And little things like that might seem trivial to a lot of people, but that's somebody making a decision in the back. We got to put it right at the beginning of the graphic. So all these things people take personal. And AEW is also at fault with that because AEW from day one tried to be this more socially acceptable company. The Young Bucks, which we've already ripped to shreds. The Young Bucks, we want everybody in our company to have health care, which you knew was a lie. And I've already explained why that was impossible. But people bought it. Oh, no, the women and the men, they get paid equally on the pay scale. And no wonder why they hardly get featured during the shows. Because if they start getting equal time on the shows, then some people are going to get paid way more than what they should be getting paid. A lot of this social stuff. Oh my God, that commentator, do Shida, that's horrendous, that's horrible, you're fired on the spot. And other people turn a blind eye. Hulk Hogan, I'm not a big fan anymore, but Hulk Hogan, with stuff he said in the past, Iron Mike Tyson. And some of the things he's done, it's forgiven, Maybe 10 years from now, when Hogan's racist comments are 20 years old, then maybe he'll be welcomed into certain organizations. There's a double standard in a lot of ways. And Cody right now comes off as this prima donna. And sorry, you can't keep going, my daddy, the son of a plumber, the American dream, if you will. We all love Dusty Rhodes, but fans are like, the fuck out of here with that stuff. Oh, we got to treat everybody. No shit. You didn't need Cody to tell me that, black and white need to get together. No fucking shit. My father told me that when I was 6. So if Cody and AEW embrace this hate into the character, when they realize that he's playing into it as a character, it blurs where reality and character, where reality ends and real life or the character begins. And when it gets over the top, the fans will start looking at it more as a character. Right now, they're looking at Cody, the human being, as a hardworking, good guy, but likes to flaunt the shit. That's why Brandy, early on in AEW, she's doing all these skits on TV with Awesome Kong and others like she was trying out for a TV show on the WB network. Remember all that stuff? And it's like, okay, we know you work hard. We know you work behind the scenes of the company, but what about all the women that actually could perform 100,000 times better than you inside the ring? And she's getting all this TV time. So this is why they're getting this angst. And again, they should enjoy everything that they have earned. I'm not one of those you take it away simply because they got it and we don't. But there's an aura of flaunting it. And you may not go to the ring and you may not go on TV like, look at what I'm driving, look at my beautiful nails, and look at this. And this is Cody. But people could read between the lines. So, thank you, Gabriella. Oh, yeah, my Vince impersonation. Thank you. He's gonna puke. He's gonna puke. So I don't think about it. It comes better, but that wasn't that good. So, Arn Anderson cuts a promo. Cody, you threw this under the bus. Arn Anderson has got like a garbage pail lit on fire, and he tells Cody, give me your pink tie, and he throws it in the fire. I'm like, thank you, Cody, because I don't like pink ties. Bobby Fish cuts a promo. Bobby Fish, 45 years old, can still do it, obviously. We saw him wrestle in NXT not too long ago. The question is, where does Bobby Fish really fit in AEW? Tell me, who is he going to leapfrog? Bobby Fish is a guy that if AEW signs him to a deal, he will have decent matches, but he will be enhancement talent for other wrestlers. And that sucks to say, but at 45 years old and you have 90 people on the roster, Bobby Fish is a small fish in a huge elite pond, period. And it's not surprising that Sammy Guevara beat him. We said it last week. Sammy Guevara versus Bobby Fish was AEW's way of saying we want to give Sammy Guevara a couple of wins without sacrificing some of our great talent. I think AEW brings back the open challenge. And Sammy Guevara says, I will issue an open challenge. Anybody in wrestling, step up. And fans will like it. And we may see a couple of faces we don't normally see ever in AEW. They'll portray it as the forbidden door. And Sammy will get a whole bunch of wins over it. And nobody on the AEW roster is damaged. Doesn't have to eat a loss. That's the design behind it. But if we're enjoying it, we're wrestling fans. So what? Again, there's no formula that you have to adhere by. If your fans are enjoying it, fine. The big question is, what are you doing to build your fan base even more? I really like the Avalanche Falcon Arrow that Bobby Fish did during that match. I mean, that looked beautiful. And he was very good in this match. But again, you look at the bigger picture, we may see Adam Cole versus Bobby Fish on an episode of Rampage or Dynamite. And it might be a competitive match, and they will love having fun wrestling each other. But in the end, I think we know Bobby Fish's record, it's not going to be all that good in AEW. So after the match is over, America's Top Team hit the ring. They surrounded Guevara. Fuego del Sol is the first person to make the save, then Jericho, then Hager. And I tell you what's funny about, America's Top Team. If you look closely, Junior Dos Santos, especially him, these guys are MMA guys. They are legit. They don't know how to sell work stuff. I don't know if they know how to do anything else but try to throw a punch. I mean, if you look at that closely, when they were beating on Sammy Guevara, it looked like an old 80s video game where you maybe like Atari, where you had two buttons, punch, kick. And instead of hitting the kick, you just, maybe you were born with only two fingers or one finger. You're just hitting punch, 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 punch. Because all that I saw. Remember Daniel Garcia, when I was criticizing that time, remember when they attacked CM Punk in the ring a while back? I counted at that time, Daniel Garcia hit him, I think, with 47 punches, him and 2.0. They hit CM Punk with like 47 punches and kicks. Just to have CM Punk pop up after 47 shots. Just to pop up. So these guys looked horrible. And when Jericho hits the ring and Jericho like literally chases Junior Dos Santos outside the ring and go around social media, I honestly think a lot of people were ripping these guys apart. They looked horrendous. And next week on Rampage, we're getting Santos, Scorpio Sky, and Ethan Page versus Guevara, Hager, and Jericho. And again, 2 weeks in a row, everybody's like, what happened to Santana or Ortiz? They don't make the save anymore for their inner circle jerks? Just pointing it out. Oh, we're at an hour already. All right. We're moving right along. The Acclaimed, they cut a promo on the Lucha Bros. They will be taking on the Lucha Brothers Friday for the AEW tag titles on Rampage. I think we know the outcome. But as long as it's a great match, we're fine with it. Then Tony Schiavone with Aubrey Edwards in the ring. And Tony Schiavone talks about 2 years ago, because this was the 2-year anniversary of Dynamite. Happy anniversary, Dynamite. 2-year anniversary, and Aubrey is holding a title with a cloth over it, covering. So obviously it was a singles title. It was not 3 belts, so we could figure out right away that it was the TBS Women's Championship. And Tony Khan makes the announcement through Tony Schiavone, and the creation of the TBS Women's Championship that we talked about earlier. The tournament will be starting soon. And TBS having Dynamite starting January, and we will crown a new women's champion. We had a couple of promos tonight. Sky Blue, Thunder Rosa, Jade Cargill, Ruby Soho, they're all in the tournament. And, it's, again, I talked about it in detail before. I don't need to say it again, but I'm totally fine with that title. I don't think we should get trios titles anytime soon, in my opinion. Just because the Young Bucks don't have belts right now. Yes, we have trios matches more than you realize because they have so many people on the roster. Maybe with that many people on the roster, trios titles is a decent idea. We'll see. I don't mind the belt. Dark Order cuts a promo. They seem to be more on the same page now, after last week. Ricky Starks, you can see a lot of promos in a row. The women I just mentioned with the promo, this was after Ricky Starks. It just promo. And by the way, Dan Lambert again tonight, nuclear heat from the fans, nuclear heat. You knew Philly was going to be a little bit extra rabid tonight, but they were really giving it to Lambert. Lambert is very, very smooth on the mic. He may not look like a manager. He may not be animated, and he may not be able to take bumps, but the guy, when he talks, it's smooth. It's smooth. And you feel like everything he says, he means. And that's what makes him good, even though a lot of people can't stand him. Ricky Starks comes out, and he wanted to have a match against Brian Cage tonight, but Brian Cage didn't show up because they were in Philly. He was even willing to have a Philly street fight. Brian Cage runs out. Crowd is into it. Ricky Starks gets out of Dodge with Hobbs and Green Hook. We find out later on that Friday on Rampage, we will get Ricky Starks versus Brian Cage for the FTW title in a Philly street fight. Should be a lot of fun. I think 6 months from now, hopefully Brian Cage is out of that company. Just being honest, I don't like the way AEW's used him at all. At all. Shida versus Deeb. Them already having an award made up for Shida's 50th win, I thought was a little goofy. And, personally, since they were hyping up Serena Deeb versus Hikaru Shida for that 50th win, I would have liked for maybe Deeb, maybe on Rampage, cut a promo that you think you're going to get your 50th win here and let her tease, making an award and everything. How much you want it? But they already have the trophy made up. And it's not even a trophy. It's like something you could buy at Staples. It looks like, I don't even know how to describe it. You got to look on it online. But if any of you out there have ever been on Staples website, the Office Depot or anything like that, and you could buy like little awards that look like glass, they're clear and everything. It's something you could buy at Staples for $15, $20. Seriously. And it looked cheap. It looked ridiculous. And basically what ends up happening is Serena Deeb, like a glass plaque, but it's not glass, but it looks like glass. What ends up happening is Serena Deeb and Shida have a decent match, but in the end, Serena Deeb cracks the award over Shida's head. I think people kind of expected that, but, Ken, have you realized there's been ship bombs being thrown around like crazy? I mean, there's been a lot of times like that. And he's been talking about, the balls of Jericho, which honestly, in all my years, I don't remember anybody in WWE ever cutting a promo and saying the balls of Jericho. Because you realize, and even when we did shows back then, I don't remember anybody like joking and using that term. But Kevin Milwaukee says he disagrees. He loved the way they booked the Shida loss because 99% of the time it's obvious that Shida wins and she didn't. I get it. But the thing is, it's still, you have the award already made up, by AEW, which looked ridiculous. And you know what it looked like to me? This is what it looked like to me. Shida is not worthy for a little 2-minute celebration next week to be handed the award. So we will create it. Then we'll have the Deeb just smash it over her head. Now what's going to happen? Is Shida going to go on this tremendous losing streak and never make it to 50 wins anytime soon? Or does she win it on Dark and then they come up with a new, it felt rushed. It felt cheap. I don't have any problem with Shida losing, but just the whole thing about it just felt like, okay, we're not going to spend any time, with Shida on this, because they made a big deal about Jungle Boy with his 50 wins. Shida just felt, I don't know. It just felt a little blah. And let's see how many matches Serena Deeb has in the next 2 months. Let's see how many matches she has. Don't give me Dark. Maybe next week, maybe you do a rematch on Rampage. Shida versus Deeb on Rampage next week. I like that idea. In fact, if she wins, the following week, I like to see AEW give Shida a big fucking trophy. Not this $15 Staples shit, which looked very cheap in my opinion. Benjamin says a lot of fans are predicting a losing streak. Where? I haven't seen it. Before today, everybody, including me, was saying, Shida's going to get the 50th win. Shida's going to win. She's going to wait. Like, because Deeb cracked it over her head, droves of people, because honestly, at the same time that match was going down is where it broke online that AJ is part of Women of Wrestling. So, but I don't doubt you, Ben. I think he's right. I think a lot of people now, because a lot of people are Captain Obvious. They're like Captain Obvious. Oh, yeah, after the loss. The Pinnacle, disguised under masks and black outfits, they attack Darby Allin from a limousine in the back. They just so happen to have a street sign on a guardrail in the back, and Darby goes head first into it. Looked pretty cool. Somebody kept laughing, and I got to be honest with you. I know I'm going to name drop a movie right now that 95% of you have never seen, but if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. One of my favorite movies of all time is The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, starring Andrew Dice Clay. And one of the actors in the movie was Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund. And there's a scene where they're inside a boat. What was the name of the boat? The Magical Penis or something like that? And Andrew Dice Clay is brawling with Robert Englund. And all you hear is Freddy Krueger's laugh, Robert Englund going, like laughing. And whoever was doing the laugh tonight sounded exactly like that movie. I'm telling you, if you watch that clip, I'm sure there's a clip of it just on YouTube. Though I think it's the Mighty Penis. I think that was the name of the boat, the Mighty Penis. You're not going to stump me on Ford Fan Lane trivia. But go see, people are starting to say, holy shit, you're right. Go watch it. You'll see. Identical. So obviously MJF is behind the attack on Darby Allin. Darby Allin does a sit-down interview, and Darby Allin reveals the reason why half his face is painted is because of the tragic death of his uncle. So he feels that half of his life was ripped away from him. Powerful segment. For those out there that say, oh, Darby sucks on the mic, well, he's still very young in his career. Give him time, as we said last week. But the segment was very, very good. And it gave a little insight to Darby Allin and what is going on upstairs. So, Joker Sting. No, Joker Sting wasn't Sting like, woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Sound like a baboon Sting back then. So we find out the matches for Rampage: CM Punk versus Daniel Garcia, Lucha Brothers versus The Acclaim for the tag titles, Ricky Starks versus Brian Cage in a Philly street fight. Next week, we'll have the Inner Circle versus, America's Top Team. Lio Rush cuts a promo on Dante Martin. And this was interesting because Dante Martin, a few moments earlier, comes out to the ring. He's with Tony Schiavone. And Dante Martin is issuing a challenge to everyone in the back that he'll fight anybody. The lights go out. They come back on. Malachi Black is in the ring, hits him with black mass. The lights go off again. They come back on. And Dante Martin is out of the ring. Gone. Malachi Black says, challenge accepted. The House of Black accepts. So we're probably going to see those two go at it next week. In fact, put that on Rampage. I actually think, and, I have something to say about the Rampage ratings in a few moments. But Lio Rush cuts a promo addressing Dante Martin. He says that, he's a huge fan of Dante Martin, but Lio is the man of the hour, and he sees Dante as undervalued commodity, and he wants to take him to new heights. Lio offers his services, his guidance to Dante Martin when he has his match with Malachi Black. Oh, please don't give me Lio going, Dante. It's not going to happen. So, look, Lio Rush, Dante Martin feud, I'll take it. So now we have the main event. And obviously, this main event was about who the Joker was going to be. And a lot of people wanted it to be Hangman Page, as we talked about for the last week. It was Orange Cassidy, Pac, Andrade, Lance Archer, Matt Hardy, Jon Moxley, and the Joker. And Orange Cassidy and Pac came out as the first two, then Andrade, then Lance Archer, then Matt, then Moxley. The match was a lot of fun. These guys worked their asses off. And Matt Hardy, give the guy credit. He did a really nice leg drop off the ladder onto Orange Cassidy through a table, which took them both out of the match. A lot of people were very upset that Matt Hardy was going to be in the match last week. But when they announced Orange Cassidy, I think people read between the lines, say, okay, somebody's got to be the person to, offset or negate Orange Cassidy. And it ended up being Matt Hardy. Lance Archer, I keep saying it, he's still my favorite wrestler in AEW. And if you really, really look at it closely, smoke and mirrors, that's how they're treating him. Smoke and mirrors. Moxley, almost the same thing. You almost feel like they don't have a lot to do with Moxley. And Moxley, I think he's perfectly fine with it. As long as he's getting his check and he gets to do a little bit. I think Moxley is content. I think a lot of people feel that way as well, but Moxley doesn't feel like he's in any title picture at all, period. Andrade and Pac, I mean, those guys should have a feud for the remainder of 2021 because Pac, there was so many times over the last year that we wanted him to go further and he did nothing. And obviously, Pac is one of the top talents in AEW, but AEW does not view him that way. It's pretty obvious because he can't break through. Can't break through. So just have him and Andrade feud for the rest of the year. And that's my honest opinion. But Hangman Page showed up. The crowd went wild. We had one point in the match where Hangman Page at the top of the ladder with Pac on his shoulders, does the dead eye off the ladder through a table. It looked scary. The way Pac landed on it with his neck, he looks like he's fine, but you know, a couple of inches a different way and we would have had a major problem. But Moxley at one point going at it with Hangman Page on the ladder and the crowd was behind Page. I don't think they were too thrilled if Moxley would have gotten it. Matt Hardy, like I said, put Orange Cassidy through a table, so they were pretty much laid out. Lance Archer at one point towards the ending of the match was taken out by Jon Moxley. Loud cowboy shit chants. And it really came down to Moxley and Hangman Page. Hangman Page ends up knocking Moxley off the ladder. I look at the time, it's 9:59. I'm like, okay, grab that chip. Hurry up. Grab that chip. We're at 9:59. And Hangman Page climbs the ladder, gets the chip, and everybody is just going nuts. And that's awesome. That's awesome. Because, again, as I said before, number one, Hangman Page ends up getting a title shot after all, despite what has happened before. And number two, it shows that AEW is not going to be one of these, we got to adhere. So you throw a little curveball, little asterisk, and there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Gordon thinks that Moxley is at a point where he doesn't need a title. It's not just having a title. It's just he's an attraction. That's what it feels like with Moxley. Having the Wild Thing music coming out, you know, most of the time, the first opening match of the night, get my stuff done, let me take a shower, get dressed, and I'm out of there early. Moxley feels like an attraction. If you're fine with Moxley just being an attraction, that's cool. I'm not criticizing that. I'm not saying it's good or it's bad, but, you know, big difference. Moxley, Wrestler of the Year, now just an attraction, like FTR. Tag Team of the Year. Now they're cutting Dana Brooke promos. We're refocused. We're re-energized. We're laser focused. Blah, 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 blah. And then 2 weeks go by. We're focused. We're laser set. We just challenge everybody. Another week goes by. We're laser focused. You know, something's going to change. And FTR is getting lost in the shuffle. Overall, very fun episode of Dynamite. Flowed very nicely. Very nicely. A little bit more organized this week compared to last week. A little more organized. So I enjoyed it very much. Now, on the NXT side, you know, I have to keep repeating this. NXT is again, they are WWE developmental. They are what Heartland Wrestling used to be, OVW, Florida Championship Wrestling. You're going to see guys out there sometimes that are obviously not ready for prime time. Obviously, being on the USA Network wants them to get some decent numbers. Now, this is where Rampage comes in. Now, as I broke it down last week and earlier this week, which nobody picked up on, which I'm a little surprised nobody did the research, but we had 7 straight days or 10 straight days of every promotion having a ratings drop. Every promotion. Last week's SmackDown broke, I think, like an 8 or 9 day stretch where every televised promotion was down in the ratings. SmackDown last week went up 5.5%. Raw, because of the draft, obviously, it had a boost, went up 8.5% this week. Rampage went down 3% to 622,000, which happens to be the same rating that NXT got this week, 622. Now, Rampage has been on TV now for what, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, around there, about that. If you look at week 1 of Rampage to now, every single week, the ratings have gone down. Every single week. There's not been one episode where they rebounded. Go back 3 or 4 months ago when I said, Addison Miller, welcome to the family. He's already subscribed, but now he's a member of the family. So welcome, my friend. Welcome, my friend. And you know what? I will add you to the list later on, but a big shout out to our other Elite Channel members, as you see on the screen right now. Much love as always. And tomorrow I'm going to post a thread in the community section, members only section. You could start posting your questions for the next video, Q&A, especially since the draft is now in the books. Maybe you could give me some of your fantasy match ideas you want to see. So, Rampage, I said 3 or 4 months ago that Rampage's rating is going to settle between 550, 750,000 viewers. If you want to go right in the middle of that, that's 650. It's a Friday night, 10 p.m. to midnight. That's not going to change. Friday night, as long as that time slot stays the same, and I know that sounds stupid on the surface, but think about it. The viewing habits and the lifestyle of people on a Friday or Friday night is not going to change. Maybe in the wintertime when we have major snowstorms across the United States and beyond, Friday night, getting out of COVID, after hard weeks of work or school, or you want to go out, or if you just want to go to sleep early, or you just had 2 hours of SmackDown, Fridays between 10 p.m. and midnight is not going to change. It is not a great time slot. The reason why people are all paranoid about these ratings is because too many people out there are so into AEW that they think 1 trillion people should be tuning in. And when you tell them 3-4 months ago that they're going to average about 650,000 viewers, what are you, fucking stupid? What are you, fucking nuts? They're going to draw 1 million every week. Dynamite's going to get 2.5 million. If fucking Raw could get 2 million, so should Dynamite. If SmackDown could get 2 million and AEW's better, it should get 1.78 million. These are people that want AEW to be the greatest company in the world, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that's what happens when too many people listen to people out there who are thinking with their heart, not thinking with their brain. You think I want AEW only to get 650? No, I want AEW to get 1 million viewers because it's fucking great. But you got to look at it realistically. Rampage's ratings are fine. Rampage will at times go up, and at times they will go into the 5s. There is no urgency. There is no, it's got to have a second hour. It's got to do this, got to do that. Do you realize, I'm going to make a point, and then we'll get to NXT. Do you realize that the highest quarter for this past Rampage was Orange Cassidy versus Jack Evans, which was more close to 11 o'clock, and because it was a gimmick with somebody who's getting a head shaved in Orange Cassidy. Bryan Danielson was not the biggest quarter of the night. What does that say? Bryan Danielson fans were likely already AEW fans. And what it also tells you is that this is something everybody forgets. AEW can be watched on YouTube. AEW can be watched on Hulu. AEW could watch on digital streaming media. AEW is repeated on the Turner Network several times during the week. It's not something that you have to tune in between 10 p.m. and midnight. Sure, the advertisers would love that, or the networks and the promotion. Sure, they would like more fans to watch it first run. But Friday night, 10 p.m. to midnight is not, I got to stop what I'm doing. All my friends are going up, but no, Rampage is on. So their ratings are fine. Don't listen to the noise out there. Rampage's ratings are fine. It is settling into the numbers it should have settled into. The newness, the new car scent is wearing off a little bit. Doesn't mean fans are not watching it a day later, 5 days later. You know, as long as they're watching and they're supporting the shows, buying the pay-per-views, buying merchandise, they're fine. Now, NXT, again, this is their developmental, whether you like it or not. I do not compare NXT's ratings to AEW in any way, shape, or form. Because when you see, people like Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs being thrown in there with the grizzled young veterans and Trick Williams being put with Carmelo Hayes, this is to try to give them a little bit of experience. Performing in front of a live crowd. Performing on a network. No pressure. No pressure. No pressure. Remember all those people out there that were saying for months and months and months, NXT is dead. Triple H lost all his powers. NXT is going to go under a totally different name, that they're going to gut everything out, and it's going to... None of that happened. What NXT did is what I said should have happened a year and a half ago. They went back to their roots. The reason why they changed it to 2.0 and the reason why they changed the colors is so it's distinctively different than the NXT that people forced technically into a Wednesday Night War. This is up and coming, new talent, homegrown talent, people trying to get to the next level, and also being guided from people like Ciampa and others. Take notice, Samoa Joe. Oh, I'm injured. Is he on there at all? No, not even an appeal. Nothing. Because Tommaso Ciampa, Daddy's home. Tommaso Ciampa is like the Terry Funk, what Terry Funk was to ECW. Ciampa, the older guy, which is not that old, by the way, he is the one that he wants to, deal with the new school. And Braun Breaker going against a veteran like Ciampa works 1,000 times more than Samoa Joe. NXT's biggest problem with Samoa Joe, and I've said this before, is when Samoa Joe came back, who is he like? What did they focus him around? Choking out Adam Cole, addressing Johnny Gargano, addressing Pete Dunne, addressing Kyle O'Reilly, addressing all the big names there. They didn't have him mingle with any of the young stars of tomorrow because Samoa Joe has already been a WWE main roster elite player. So that's how WWE viewed him in NXT. We can't have Samoa Joe, but with Ciampa, it's different. Ciampa, yeah, he's drooling. Give me some of the young guys. Let me bring them up. That's why it works. Now, Braun Breaker, he's going to be taking on Ciampa in 3 weeks in Halloween Havoc. Now, on TV, Braun Breaker has had very, very few matches, almost none. And he didn't have an indie wrestling career either. But the one thing that I brought up yesterday that a lot of people still, I think, don't realize is Braun Breaker being Rick Steiner's son. Just because he was playing football a year ago, just because he never had any indie wrestling matches, and people see him now like, oh my God, how is this guy this good at such an early stage? It's unbelievable. Like, how does he pick it up so quickly? Well, I'll tell you, chances are that back when Braun Breaker was 8 years old, Braun Breaker was probably doing moves in their garage with Rick Steiner, having fun, father and son, play wrestling. When Braun Breaker was 11 years old, 12 years old, 13 years old, was probably working out with his dad, playing around with Scott, learning moves, teaching him this, teaching him that. 14, 15, 17, 18 years old. So you could only imagine how much Braun Breaker took in his father and his uncle's wrestling in his entire lifetime. It's not like, oh, he went through school, football, wrestling, football. But now all of a sudden he bit the bug. So Braun Breaker could have been under the guidance of his father and his uncle for years and years and years, but pursued a football career and didn't pursue indies. Kind of reminds you of The Rock a little bit, doesn't it? Not saying that Braun Breaker will ever be on the level of The Rock, but The Rock, he really didn't have an indie wrestling career. But The Rock coming out of football, a lot of people don't put the two together. The Rock coming out of football, he obviously did some brief work before he came in as Rocky Maivia, but Rocky played around, wrestled with his dad, Rocky Johnson, when he was very young. Would do moves, do this, do that, do this. Just because he didn't go to the indie circuit didn't mean The Rock didn't know how to wrestle. So keep that in mind, especially if Braun Breaker wins the belt. Right now, I'm not sure. But if Braun Breaker wins the belt, I don't think people should be too surprised. Because just because his indie wrestling career is pretty much 0-0 doesn't mean that Braun Breaker hasn't learned for years and years and years and years. So, obviously, when we talk NXT, it's more of a discussion, not match results, because obviously, it being developmental, some people are going to get, take note, Franky Monet, booty bad, whatever it says. Yeah, anybody notice how few people are bitching and complaining? They're fucking killing Franky Monet's career. Holy shit, she keeps losing in NXT. Why are they using Franky Monet this way? Why is she losing on? There's still nobody saying anything. Why? Cora Jade beat her yesterday. Cora Jade. I'm not sitting throwing shade on Jade. I just rhymed. I'm a poet in case you didn't know it. Oh, that's true too. Crazy Cruiserweight. Wow won't be getting any of his attention. Employing a person who said racist things and never apologizes a no-no. Hogan gave his apology and he forgave him. Big difference. And Cruiserweight is African-American. Dude, I totally respect how you feel with that. We will never know truly. We will never know truly what Tessa Blanchard said and didn't say. And I'm being straight up here. And it's not easy for me to say this because I'm a white Italian guy. I'm not a Tony D'Angelo wannabe. That was so cute yesterday. Watching all these people, suddenly their profiles, they're these deep Guinea Italians. Hey, how you doing? Hey, Tony D'Angelo. Yeah, he got it, man. He's fucking, that's it. He's my boss. He's this. Oh, how cute you want to live vicariously through a cool Italian guy. But Cruiserweight, I'm not trying to be an instigator here. And I'm not defending Tessa Blanchard, and I'm not ripping Tessa Blanchard. But the one argument that was made was that La Rosa Negra may have heard something different. I don't know how good La Rosa Negra's English is. I don't know how bad Tessa Blanchard's Spanish is. I don't know what was communicated in that ring. So it's unfair for me to say Tessa said it or Tessa didn't say it. I don't think we'll ever know the truth. Some people have come to bat for Tessa Blanchard. Some people have also come to bat against Tessa Blanchard. We'll never truly know the truth. I didn't expect, and if Tessa Blanchard did say it, I never expected her to admit it. What I was kind of hoping from Tessa Blanchard early on is, even when she denied it, I was hoping that it would have been a little bit more of an apology, in the sense like, look, I didn't say that. And oh my God, if she thought that I said that, I would never say something like that. And I am so sorry that, you thought that I said it all this time, this and that. And I feel terrible. And I, have a little more compassion. And it didn't feel like that came out that way. And there is not, look, everybody's attitude is a little different. Everybody's style is a little different. Some people, you make a mistake, you eat a little bit of humble pie, and you go straight out there and you're like, hey, look, I'm totally sorry. Didn't mean it. Didn't say it. I'm sorry. I don't know why she thought I said that, but I didn't say it, and I'm sorry, and I really feel terrible that you thought that, no one, and it didn't come out that way. So I can't find any fault in Cruiserweight feeling that way. As others out there, there's a lot of people that do not like Tessa Blanchard. There's a lot of people that do. So it's really up to you. And you're not right and you're not wrong either. But if that's your view on it and that's how you feel, I totally understand and have to respect it. Big Armada, shout out to you, my friend. Thank you for the super chat as well. Franky Monet should be on the main roster. It doesn't make sense for her to be on NXT now. Well, yes, it does. She's helping elevate some of the young stars of tomorrow. She's maybe like the Tommaso Ciampa of the women's division, but since Franky Monet doesn't have the championship, Franky Monet, see, this is the thing. Ciampa, if he loses, other than non-title, loses the title. If Franky Monet loses, no title changes hands. Raquel Gonzalez is still being developed for the main roster. Raquel Gonzalez, it almost feels right now that WWE needed to legitimize Raquel Gonzalez by giving her the title. I think a lot of people would agree with me on this. Raquel Gonzalez, without that title, it might feel like she is just in, I don't want to say purgatory in NXT, but it'll feel like there's no direction. If you look at a lot of the feuds, it really isn't it weird that the Mandy Rose Raquel Gonzalez matchup might be the most interesting one out of everything so far? Mandy Rose is not a shit wrestler. Let's make that clear. Mandy Rose has improved. But Raquel Gonzalez, it feels like the way to keep her legit and a bigwig in NXT is she's got to have that belt. Franky Monet doesn't need the belt to be legit. Franky Monet is trying to help elevate some of the younger stars. And I think that could be the reason why so many people are not bitching about it. But I would think, especially with Franky Monet, her rise through Puerto Rico, Impact, and other areas to come to NXT and then just being like enhancement talent. I don't even want to say it that way. I would think that more people would be on the surface upset at that. But I agree with you. I would like to see Franky Monet on the main roster. The problem is, you realize how many people Franky Monet would have to leapfrog to get any type of momentum there? How many times could she beat Zelina Vega or Carmella or Dana Brooke or some others there? So in a way, I think she's better suited for NXT right now. But that's something that people should take note. Just the way she's being used. LA Knight over Odyssey Jones yesterday. I'm a little surprised with LA Knight. That's one person I would have liked to have seen go to the main roster. But then again, you bring him to the main roster, and he's a small fish in a big pond. And I don't know how high on the food chain LA Knight would go. So LA Knight might be better suited to help elevate some of these new NXT stars who are trying to become stars. LA Knight could talk them to the next level. That's why they're having him go with Odyssey Jones. That's very deliberate. And LA Knight getting some wins. because he needs some wins under his belt to make it more important when he loses to someone. Ikemen, Jiro losing to Joe Gacy. I mean, Jiro, however you prefer to call him. I was always concerned since day one that WWE was not going to put a lot of wins behind this guy's belt. Like, he's very likable and the fans connect to him, but something's missing. Now, I'm sorry if a lot of you disagree with this, but the stare down with Harlan, Parker Boudreaux, and Joe Gacy yesterday, I thought was awesome. And I know people aren't used to Parker Boudreaux with the shaved head, but the funny thing about it is, I mean, obviously he's a very young guy. To me, and I brought this up yesterday on Patreon, to me, Harlan, he looks like if you take a very, very young Billy Corgan in the Smashing Pumpkins and have him work out, become a beast in the gym, that's what he looks like to me. Like, to me, he looks like a very young Billy Corgan from the gym. He looks like a jacked up Billy Corgan. I don't know. There's something about his face. Some people say Baron Corbin, but to me, Billy Corgan, that's what he looks like. But that stare down with him and Gacy yesterday, I freaking loved it, man. This guy is going to be a monster. He's going to be a monster. And WWE knows it. And when you start dissecting some of these bigger names, you know, I mean, you realize that NXT will be just fine. I mean, even if, just think about it, even if you pull 2, 3, 4 gems out of NXT, my God, you know, 1 or 2, you throw them on Raw, 1 or 2, you throw them on SmackDown, that could be a quarter of a show on SmackDown. You have 2 people show up on SmackDown and they have 2 individual matches or a segment in a match, that could eat up a quarter to a fifth of your show. So you don't have to develop 10 major stars. You just need a couple. Just need a couple. Oh, Austin, I wish people would stop comparing him to Brock Lesnar. You know, I know why people did that early on, but to me, it's nothing like Brock Lesnar right now. The guy is just a monster. I want him to be the first Parker Boudreaux, not the next Brock Lesnar, to be honest with you. But he's a beast, man. I hope he puts it together in the ring. Indy Hartwell over Mae Yang. I've said this for a month now. Tian Sha is done. I like Boa. I just don't see it anymore. Their pinnacle was the videos of them being tortured. Once they had Mae Yang blowing like Mr. Spock vapor. Remember, I brought this up before. Remember Mr. Spock from Star Trek? You watch him and you'd like see him in a bar. Hey, Mr. Spock, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? He just like touches your neck. You're like, she's blowing vape in people's faces and they're like passing out and all this. It looks so awful. It's like that old breath mint commercial. Dentine Ice or whatever it is. It's horrible. It's dying. And when we saw Xia Li getting all these dark matches 2 months ago, the writing was on the wall. Tian Sha is pretty much done. It's good. It's done. I'm not shitting on it, but it's done. It's done. By the way, just random ratings comment. Somebody wrote, and it's been verified that the average age of a viewer that watched NXT yesterday was 62 years old. Know what I honestly, truthfully think happens sometimes? I think whatever is on before NXT, if I'm 62 years old, I might fall asleep at 8 o'clock. I'm not kidding. I think you have a lot of like 60, 70, and 80-year-olds that are watching the USA Network at like 7 p.m. and they just nod off. Honey, I'm going to watch some USA Network. So you got an 80-year-old and a 40-year-old, you know, you average it out, 60-year-old. I'm telling you, I think you got a lot of elderly people that are watching the USA Network at like 5, 6 o'clock at night and like, honey, time for dinner. And I know it sounds funny, but I'm not kidding. I really believe that. I think you have a boatload of elderly people watching USA Network at like 6, 7 o'clock at night, and they fucking fall asleep with the TV on. You know, I don't know too many young people that have Nielsen boxes. More people that have Nielsen boxes got them in the 2000s and the 90s and the 2010s. You don't hear many people saying, hey, I just got my Nielsen. When was the last time you went on Twitter and somebody that was hey, I just got my Nielsen box. I just got my Nielsen box. Hey, everybody, look what I just got. And they post a picture of their Nielsen box. So the people who have the Nielsen boxes, I think they're the ones that were at the time were in their 30s, 40s, maybe 50s with a young family. Now they're in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. Seriously. I'm not kidding. Don't overthink it. I think it makes sense. This is not analysis. You know, I don't want anybody to be like, oh my God, did you hear what this guy claims? I'm just picturing it. When was the last time any of you out there that saw somebody in their 20s or 30s? Hey, everybody, I got my Nielsen box today. Nielsen sampling isn't extremely accurate, but that's what the advertisers and networks and the companies base it on. It's a little screenshot of the overall picture. And until that setup and how they negotiate changes, you have to go with that. That's the way it is. That's why when you see certain demos with other promotions, they focus on it. You know, that's why some people think it's like a big, huge deal. MSK retaining their tag titles in a fatal four-way, beating Brooks Jensen, Josh Briggs, Grizzly Veterans, Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams. This is the setup Imperium versus MSK, and I think Imperium have a legit shot at winning those belts. MSK have been fun, and they do have a nice little fan base, but I think WWE was expecting a little bit more with those guys, to be honest with you. This leaves me with 2 matches. Pete Dunne over Cameron Grimes. Ridge Holland, getting a little bit more appearances before he goes to the main roster. Next week, we're getting Isaiah Swerve Scott versus what's his face? Santos Escobar. Listen, everybody. I know all the comments out there about Hit Row going to SmackDown. I've already given my views on it. I hope they knock it out of the park. It must be exciting for them, and it's a huge challenge. I don't know if they're ready. I don't know if they know that they're ready. But they were given a shot. You take that shot. Trust me, if you're Hit Row and WWE comes and knocking, rings on your phone and says, hey, we want you to go to SmackDown. No, not ready yet. No, I think I should stay on NXT a little bit longer. Is that your final answer? No. You take that challenge. You go balls to the wall with it. I hope they kill it. But let's be honest. They have done a horrendous job with that NXT North American Championship. Isaiah Swerve Scott won it the end of June. We are in October. How many times has he defended that title? How many matches has he had since he won that title? I think. How do you have this guy have a 3-month run and people are saying to me, oh my God, they're bringing Swerve Scott up. I mean, he's current NXT North American champion. How could you bring him to the main roster and this and that? Well, he's a major star and this motherfucker hasn't defended the title once. 3 months. Where's everybody for the... Wow, Swerve Scott's got the belt for 2 weeks, hasn't defended it yet. Wow, Swerve's got the belt a month, hasn't defended. Where was all the noise? Wow, Scott's got it 6 weeks, hasn't defended. Nothing. When are we going to wait? Brock Lesnar territory? It's been 6 months. Fuck out of here. Hopefully, Santos Escobar wins it next week. Maybe somebody on SmackDown costs Scott the title, and maybe that gives Escobar the win. But, man, they have done a horrendous job with that championship. And that is not Triple H's fault. That is not WWE trying to sabotage the company. They fucking put the belt on him, and they did nothing with it. But he's graduated to the main roster. It's weird how things work sometimes, right? Isaiah, you've done a spectacular job. It's the NXT North American champion. We want you to come to SmackDown. Anyway, next week we got Scott versus Santos Escobar. We have Tommaso Ciampa versus Joe Gacy in a non-title match. If Gacy wins, he gets added to the match at Halloween Havoc with Ciampa and Breakker. Then we got Von Wagner, Kyle O'Reilly teaming up against Ridge Holland and Pete Dunne, and then lashing out with Lash Legend. I left this for last tonight. Listen, everybody. I am 98% Italian. Supposedly, I'm like 1.3% Jewish and like 0.4% black. And I think maybe like 0.1% Greek. No joke, for real. I've done an ancestry, and over the years, like the percentages change a little bit, but my family is Sicilian and Napolitan. All right. Anybody that's followed me since 1997 knows everything I've said before. I had members of John Gotti's family at my wedding in 1999. I was an honorary member of the Fish Club when I was a teenager. I worked with his nephew. I live in Howard Beach. I've been to Butterfingers in a lot of places, and over the years, I've explained to all of you out there what a cardboard gangster is. You got real gangsters, you got former gangsters, you got wannabe gangsters, and you got cardboard gangsters. What is a cardboard gangster? That is someone who tries to dress like a gangster, act like a gangster, and wants to be a gangster, but is not really a gangster. And you would spot them a mile away when you would go to clubs or bars late at night. You have a cardboard gangster sitting at the bar trying to pick up people, trying to look the role, having the jewelry, the wife beater shirt, the jacket, the hat. I mean, how many times have I told these stories in 25 years? Tony D'Angelo, the character, is nothing different of what we've seen over the years. Whether it's The Sopranos, whether it's a Jersey Shore guy, off the truck. How many times back in the day I used to say, hey, some guy came to my office today. Hey, we got these Sergio Tachinis that just got in off the truck. You want some Sergio Tachinis? Hey, you're looking for a TV? We got some fresh ones off the truck. Hey, you're looking for a fur coat? You know any women out there that want a jacket? We got them fresh off the truck. That was the 90s. I haven't had anybody show up in my office with stuff off the truck since probably 9/11. Basically, what Tony D'Angelo doing is a Sopranos character. Not Goodfellas. Big difference. When you see some of these Italians out there that are trying to mix in Goodfellas with Sopranos, is a huge fucking difference. Huge difference. He's a Sopranos character. It's the stereotype. Mish was asking me yesterday, did I consider it racist because of the stereotype? I'm like, no, not at all. That is a stereotype that a lot of people base it on. It's like Crime Time. When Crime Time came in, you had a fringe element. Welcome, you got to make black people look like they steal. That the only way you can make money is they steal. Muhammad Hassan, who was Italian. How come you got to make somebody from an Indian guy or Islamic, or he's got to look like a terrorist, or he's got people to treat him? Because they're playing off on the stereotype. You don't think that even me, you've seen pictures of me wearing the same exact stuff as Tony D'Angelo. For all of you out there, when I used to tell the stories of dating a Jewish woman, no disrespect for anybody who's Jewish out there, but I've said this tons of times in 25 years. As far as racism towards me, which has been very little, I'm not trying to compare it to anybody else, but to me, the one group who was the most racist towards me was Jewish. Not black, not Spanish, Jewish. I dated a Jewish girl, and a lot of you already know it. I used to go to her family. Hey, it's Prince Spaghetti Day. Hey, we don't have any of that lasagna. You know, you all right with a little bit of matzo ball soup? You know, you have any problem with that? I worked for Ben's Best restaurant on Queens Boulevard, which shut down a few years ago. I was the only Italian ever to work for Ben's Best. That's how I met Georgie and Macropolis, wrestling. If anybody remembers Georgie. That's how I met people early on, Bill Apter and others, because one of the guys that worked in Ben's Best used to sit front row for every Madison Square Garden show. And sometimes when his friend couldn't go or he couldn't go, he would offer me the tickets. And one time I went to the Garden in 1990 and I went with him and there was all these people sitting front row and they're like, who's this person? Like, who are you? Are you sitting in the right seat? Oh, no. He's with me. And that's how I met Georgie and Bill Apter and Blackjack Brown and others from working there. But when I worked for Ben's Best, there were Jewish people, and I was not prepared for this. There were Jewish people who would come in and say, can I have Arthur take care of my stuff? Could I have Ben take care of my stuff? I'm like, sure, no problem. And I originally wrote it off that, they're used to that person slicing their cold cuts. Maybe they know how to slice and this and that. And then that's where the owner pulled me aside. He was like, look, he's like, he never had this happen before. And he saw it and he wanted to prepare me. He's like, don't be offended if some people don't want you to handle their stuff. And I said to him, no, I get it. I said, even when I worked for my dad's store, some people like when some people cut their stuff a certain way. He's like, no, you don't understand. Some people don't want anybody but a Jewish person touching their stuff. Just like when I used to slice American cheese in the Jewish deli, you had to slice it on a special machine. You were not allowed to slice kosher items mixed in with like roast beef or other stuff. And there were quite a few people. Can I help you? No, I'm waiting for him. And they would be blunt about it. I just wanted to get paid and get laid. I just wanted to make money. That's all I cared about. I didn't take offense to it. But, over the years, you get that stereotype. Hey, Anthony, Prince Spaghetti Day. So the Tony D'Angelo character is playing all the stereotypes of what people used to look at Italians. So he is playing a Sopranos character. It's old school. Johnny the Bull Stamboli didn't even go that deep into it. Johnny Stamboli looked more like a Jersey Shore guy that used to hang out at clubs and want to get banged every weekend. That's a big difference with a Sopranos. Hey, and my family, everything's about family and business. No fucking shit. That's how I've been brought up since I was a kid. I profess that on these shows every week. Family and business. That's all that matters. So that's why it connects, because this character is a lot different. When ECW had the FBI, and then you put Tommy Rich and JT Smith and others in there, and then it became comedy. I remember Tommy Rich. I'm going to get myself some of that Italian food. Let's go to Domino's. It was comedy. This guy, they're playing full-blown Sopranos. Him trying to bribe the referee, that's stereotype of what the mob used to be in the Sopranos. And it worked. And I told Mish yesterday, Mish asked me, he's like, DT, why do you think it was so over yesterday? Not just amongst the fans, but the crowd on social media. You look on social media, people were titling their whole NXT recap here, Tony D'Angelo. I'm saying to myself, all right, I liked it. It was a good debut. He had a decent match. He beat Malik Blade, who really is a decent worker as well. But people were losing their shit yesterday. They're like living in one match. They're living vicarious off of this guy. Oh my God, he was amazing. He was incredible. He was good. He knocked the character out of the park. And Why do I think the NXT crowd especially ate it up? Because if you're given a character and you work really hard and every little incidental about it, you're dotting the I's and crossing the T's, that is a lost art in wrestling. There's a lot of people that they're more concerned about doing fucking 630 splashes off the side of a building, through 19 tables, or doing crazy fucking flips, or, hardcore shit or other stuff. Hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm Tony D'Angelo. Here, referee. Put this in your pocket. Don't say nothing. Hey, how you doing? Hey, I got this coat off the crowd. You don't think that if Tony D'Angelo does that segment next week with Last Legend, he might come with gifts? You just look at stereotypes, Sopranos, and Goodfellas. Take little elements of that, and that's what you got in the character. And because he's fucking Italian, because he's got the red, white, and green on the arm, people buy into it, and it feels real. That's why the fans are into it. So, you know what I laugh at before we go? I get Charlie Conway, and he's a good guy. He's a good guy. But he's like, wow, good impression. Dude, I'm approaching my 50s. I'm not impersonating Tony D'Angelo. I'm brought up in this livelihood. I mean, everything that I've told for 25 years, a lot of it was being around tons of Tony D'Angelos. People in my family. Everybody's name is Joe, John, Nicky, Tony, Giuseppe, which is the same as Joe. I have 3 family members with the same name as me. And you don't know how many times I used to get Facebook friend requests from some like hot women from New York. And I'm like, who are these people? And I would, this is before I met my fiance, and I would accept the friend request like, oh my God, Anthony, how you doing? Long time no speak. And I'm like, I'm good. Who are you? What do you mean, who am I? You don't remember? Well, the beach? And I'm like, no. And then be like, oh my God. I thought you were your cousin. Oh my God. I'm like, 310 fat fuck Anthony didn't throw you off. My face looking like a basketball didn't throw you off. Somehow you thought was it that dark out that night? So, I don't have to put Tony D'Angelo on a pedestal and like these other people, that's it. Give him the fucking title. That's it. Because he's got the watch, because he's got the jacket, and he's got the beard and this and that, and because he looks at it and bribing people, oh no, that's it. He's the future of it. The fuck out of here. These are people online that want to live vicariously through wrestlers. They want to live vicariously through wrestlers that they enjoy. And for kids, you expect that. For grown adults to start treating people, like I said, it gets to a weirdness factor. Right now, it's a infatuation period with Tony D'Angelo because nobody knows anything about him because look at his wrestling career. It's pretty much non-existent other than NCAA. But, people that are, hyping this guy, I don't know what his future is going to be. I will tell you, I like what I see so far. But, take him and leapfrog him over Braun Breaker and Parker Boudreaux and Odyssey Jones and Carmelo Hayes and some people who have been wrestling for 5 or 10 years. That's ridiculous. So, sure, I could sit here being 99% Italian and growing up in an Italian neighborhood, still in an Italian neighborhood, being around all the gangsters, the cardboard gangsters, real gangsters, old school gangsters. I still have customers now. A lot of you out there know. A while back, a gangster that was 83 years old at the time punched me in the mouth, and I couldn't do nothing about it. I was more shocked than anything else. I've told that story before. Guy came into my office, wanted me to do him a favor. And I said, I can't do it. And he got really, really upset. He got out of his chair and he punched me in the mouth. 83 years old at the time. What am I supposed to do? Push him away, and then he falls, gets a heart attack, and that's it. I'll be walking down an alleyway one day and I'll be greeted by Smith & Wesson. So I think people need to take a little chill pill. And this is coming from a guy that's seen it all and lived it and been around it. Guy did a great job. It's one match. Braun Breaker, done a great job. 1 or 2 matches. You need 1 or 2 years. Yeah. But you know what? I don't think his debut could have gone any better. So with that said, I am going to jet out of here. We ended up having a fun 2 hours. Oh, no, I wish I was 30 years old. Seriously. Nowhere near 30. But I hope you enjoyed this episode. I thank you for hanging out tonight. Believe me, I was so close of not doing a show today. Yesterday, I had told everybody on Patreon, I said, I think I'm going to take Wednesday off. Not because of the stuff I got today. I was just tired. But after getting that news today, I'm like, I need to have some fun tonight. And we had a decent AEW episode. Now, as far as ratings go, last week, AEW did 1,152,000. That's going to be difficult to top, even with Hangman Page returning. It was hyped up as a 2-year anniversary show. I don't think the ratings change that much, but to think 1.2 million when you have Bryan Danielson in an 8-man tag match, yes, it's the Elite. Yes, it opened it up, but look at Bryan Danielson versus Nick Jackson from Friday. It wasn't even the highest rated quarter of the shows. You had 8 quarters, and it wasn't the highest. So that match was fun. Did you keep your audience throughout the show? The ladder match was stacked with big-time names. So I don't think the rating will change all that much. If it goes up, it's going to go up a very, very small amount. Maybe like 1,170,000. But if it goes down a little bit, even if it goes down 50,000 viewers, 1.1 million is an excellent number for AEW in 2021, where you have many, many streaming options. There's no reason why every single person who is a diehard AEW fan has to tune in at 8 o'clock at night on a Wednesday. Not every single person is going to do that. It doesn't make you less than of an AEW fan. If you say, I'm not going to watch it live, I'm going to catch it on the replay, that doesn't make you any less of a fan. Not everybody will have that luxury. So, but you get 1.1 million. That is a very, very good number for AEW. And even again, if they get back into the 9s, there's no, paranoia. There's no concerns. Not every week cannot feel like a pay-per-view. It cannot feel like a really high class indie wrestling event. When you're selling out 8, 10, 12,000 seat arenas, obviously you need to give them, a huge show. But remember, they tape 3 or 4 matches for Rampage. And those matches are not bullshit matches. So they could have given us far less tonight and gave those live fans those Rampage matches. And trust me, everybody would have went home enjoying it. So you prepare yourself for some matches to start. I don't know what they're going to do with QT Marshall. I don't even know what the purpose that was tonight. Yes, Comoroto lost to Darby Allin, but, QT Marshall hits a diamond cutter on Sting. And I don't want anybody to get mad anymore about the Ultimate Warrior not selling for Triple H or Hogan just not selling, some move and just popping right up, because that's exactly what Sting did tonight. And everybody's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Diamond Dallas Page should contact Who Dat and say, I want my diamond cutter back. You can't get 65-year-old Sting on the floor for 5 seconds. He just whips right back up. What does that say about these? Nobody cares. They just want to enjoy. It's like when Hulk would Hulk up in the later stages of his career. When he had that WrestleMania match with The Rock and when Hulk Hogan hulked up, everybody lost their shit. You don't think after watching 20 years of Hogan, people would be like tired of it by then? It's nostalgia. That's why I don't have too much of a problem with it. But you're going to see some bullshit here and there. You're not going to see top quality, big name matches. They have to tone it down a notch here and there. And I don't think anybody, just because the card doesn't sound all that enticing and 100, 200,000 people decide, I'm going to watch it this week, but I'm just not going to watch it live. No cause of concern. There's going to be peaks and valleys. And ignore the people out there that want AEW or insist AEW does 2 million viewers or bust. They've done an awesome job for the first 2 years. And they have just begun. So look at how far they've come in 2 years. Imagine what 2 years from now could be. It could be even better than what it is now. And you ask yourself, wow, how could it be better? Who out there in WWE or indie wrestling land do they not have right now that could take it even further? Well, no, they can build on what they got. Look at Roman Reigns. How many years they forced him to be the focal point of the shows. And for 4 years, it was very, very divided and got a lot of shit. Now, look at where it's gone. So there's no reason why some of those guys can't be the focal point of that company for the next couple of years. All right, everybody, I'm out of here. On your way out, if you don't mind, if you enjoyed the show, hit that like button. That does help the algorithm. That tells YouTube that you enjoyed the show. And the more that happens, the more they recommend the show to others. And I thank you, as always, for the support. And if you're around tomorrow night at 10 o'clock, 10:05 p.m. to be exact, I'll be here. Q&A, live calls, and we'll see what we're going to do about that popcorn. I really want to pop that shit tomorrow. If I forget to bring the microwave home, or it just seems like it's going to be a little too difficult tomorrow, we could always hold that off for next week. Believe me, I got tons of other stuff. We could try the Nitro Cologne if we want, WCW Nitro Cologne. There's a few things I got. I got tons of shit that you keep sending me. So we got a lot of things that we could open up. My God, I didn't even activate this yet. The Undertaker, he's going to tell us where to get off, everybody. Look at the top of that. Imagine somebody in Stamford, Connecticut in 1997 saying, what's the catchphrase for this? Oh, it's a 3D picture that tells you where to get off. Get off where? It tells you where to get off, ages 6 and up. I'm still trying to figure that out. Undertaker's going to tell us where to get off. Where, on the bus? Weird shit, man. Maybe we'll play some more Wrestle Crap tomorrow. A lot of people loved that shit from last week, and I didn't even put the Battle Royals up yet. Oh, my God. So if I have time tomorrow, I'll go through some, and maybe I'll pull a gem out. So everyone be well. Much love as always. I'll catch you tomorrow night, 10:05 p.m. And, all right, before we go, one more thing. I did not see this coming earlier. Mike Kelson, thank you very much for the super chat. Fantastic off-air moment. Tony Khan assembled some ECW alumni to say goodnight. He had Taz, Chris Jericho, Dean Malenko, and Jerry Lynn. Well, I'm not trying to poo-poo on that. Jerry Lynn already works for AEW. Dean Malenko already works for AEW. Taz and Chris Jericho already work for AEW. Again, I'm not trying to shit on it, but they were all going to be there, whether it was Philly or not. I saw Blue Meanie take a picture earlier, and I guess he was in Philly. If you would have said to me, oh, they brought the Blue Meanie out, they brought Danny Doring out, they brought out some ECW, alumni that don't work for AEW and just decided to do that as a little tribute, then I would have been like, wow, that's pretty cool. But to bring guys out who already are there because they work for the company, I'm sure for the Philly fans, that was a nice gesture. And I'm not trying to really knock it, but that doesn't impress me all that much. That just seems like, hey, anybody who used to work AEW, for ECW, you want to go out there, and say a couple of kind words? it's a nice gesture, but, to me, it's half-assed, in my opinion. If you're going to, if they just said a couple of words, okay, fine. But, I don't know. But then again, you want to know something? Maybe there were other members that they showed and we're just not aware of it yet. So let me see what I find out between tonight and tomorrow. Look, man, Mike, ECW has been and always will be my favorite wrestling company of all time. For me to be able to work for them for the last year, even though it was just pushing tickets, the memories that I had, I will cherish for a lifetime. And being able to hang out backstage with some of those guys, I've told the stories, smoked out, some of the stuff, that stuff you can never take away. I keep it here. And I love to share those stories with you. And it pissed me off because when I used to tell those stories, like I would get hate. Even people that I used to do hotlines with, they would get jealous and angry. I'm like, dude, we had a fucking great time. Why do you feel animosity for? Because I got to do it and you didn't? So, it just, some people are really weird, but, ECW always be my favorite promotion as a fan. And showing any love to ECW is cool. I just wish if you're going to do something like that, there's a lot of people from ECW that do live in that area, and they should have just said, hey, why don't you come down tonight? They do autograph signings. They do conventions. Hey, why don't you come down tonight and bring them out also? That's what I would have done. But again, they may have done it. So, all right, everybody. Now I am officially done for the night. So, much love. They haven't blown kisses before. What am I doing? Good night, everybody. It's late. I had a long day.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here...
Yeah, I just realized, listen to this fucking promo. And you tell me, hey, you're just copying Tony D'Angelo. Listen to that, my outro.
I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.